Public Works Deputy Minister Sihle Zikalala has called for the expropriation without compensation of hijacked buildings in the Johannesburg CBD. His remarks follows President Cyril Ramaphosa's appeal to the provincial government to utilize the Expropriation Act to reclaim abandoned and hijacked properties in Joburg. The Deputy Minister now joins us to share his insights on this. Deputy Minister, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for making time for us. Tell us about what you have seen and why you're making this particular call, also considering the decay that some people have experienced in our inner cities. It's not just the city of Johannesburg, but it's several inner cities in the country.
Thanks a lot, Adrian, and greetings to you and the viewers at home. The program of the president is conducted under the district development concept, which seek to revitalize local municipalities through coordination and enforcement of shared services at a district level. Like many cities, Johannesburg is affected by dilapidated buildings which were left by industries when they left and built their offices in nearby suburbs. For instance, some of the buildings that are left in Johannesburg that are empty were previously owned by big companies that are now located in Sandton and other suburbs like that. Some of the buildings that are illegally occupied are under trust of people who own those buildings and left them because they were no longer generating income. All of those buildings are posing a higher risk and they are hazardous to communities who are living there, let alone that some are now occupied by illegal occupants, and the numbers of people who are living there has increased to a point that on its own is a risk. We strongly believe that these are the buildings that should be the start of expropriation. And this gives a meaning or an essence to the aims and objectives of this Expropriation Act. We therefore have agreed with the provincial government led by the Premier, the municipality led by the city led by the mayor and the president leading the cabinet, that these buildings should be identified and we should embark on a process to expropriate them through the Expropriation Act.
Yeah, one of the concerns that that has been raised, and I just quickly want to see if I can get the name of the person. Yeah, the CEO of the Black Entrepreneurs Alliance, speaking yesterday to my colleague, said that for something of this nature to work as well, we need to see some amendments to legislation, especially when it comes to evictions, because some of these buildings that are in a state of disrepair and derelict are occupied by individuals, and these individuals would need to be evicted. But we know what our legislation says, that once you want to evict people and having to find them alternative accommodation.
Quite correct. The law says if people have occupied that piece of land or that building for more than 24 hours and the owner has not applied for eviction, then if they need to be evicted, we must provide the alternative. In this case, that is correct. There will be people who are supposed to be evicted and relocated somewhere to build for themselves. It doesn't say the government must build for them, but also this means we must collaborate with government as government department, human settlement, ourselves as public works, the city and the province. If we evict those people, we must be able to allocate them other land where they will build for themselves, and temporary structures must be provided in that regard. But to your surprise, you will also find that maybe half of those buildings are occupied by people who are illegal and unregistered to be in the country. And therefore, you will not be able to register or to provide for their eviction. Instead, you will have to apply for their repatriation.
Yeah, well, in the case of the Usindiswa building fire, as an example, we understand that a large number of the people who were in that building were undocumented foreign nationals. But those people were then relocated to another site in the Joburg CBD, land that has been set aside, and buildings that have went up. Sorry, not buildings, but structures, corrugated iron structures that have went up. And if you go there now, Deputy Minister, it has almost turned into a semi-informal settlement.
Yeah, that would be a problem of one legislation undermining the other. If there is someone in South Africa who is unregistered, that person needs to be taken into custody and be repatriated to the country of his origin. That is what Minister Motsoaledi led in many cases when we were dealing with, when he was still there in foreign affairs. And therefore,
Home Affairs, Minister.
Home Affairs, rather. Thank you for that correction. And that should be done in all cases. And that is caused by lack of alignment and integration. And this approach by the president addresses that. It means if we identify that there are people who are occupying the building illegally, we want this building to be expropriated, we must also bring closer home affairs instead of human settlement, so that those people will be taken, those who are South Africans will be given an alternative land, those who are not South Africans will be taken into custody and be repatriated. We need a country that is governed by law. We need a country where departments and spheres of government that are lower than national are collaborating in the enforcement of law.
Yeah. So would Deputy Minister say and agree to the sentiments expressed by the Black Entrepreneurs Alliance that we need to see amendment of legislation, at least when it comes to evictions?
I fully agree with that. And I've got an experience in some cases when I was still in the province, we tried to put a challenge to that court ruling. And I believe Human Settlement and the Department of Land Affairs will need to ensure that. I'm not sure whether it's a legislation or it's a court ruling. From where I stand, it's a court ruling that imposed a court decision that says provide an alternative land for people who have occupied the land for more than 24 hours. And therefore, we need to challenge that, whether we go through legislation or we go through court processes, but that needs to be challenged. I fully concur with that.
All right. I just quickly want to deal with this one, Deputy Minister, and I just need clarity around this. Yesterday, the Health Ombudsman delivered their report on the Helen Joseph Hospital. One of the allegations was of poor infrastructure, which was sustained by the investigation. When it comes to the maintenance of a public infrastructure, like, for instance, hospitals, whose purview is it? Who's supposed to make sure that maintenance does actually take place? Does the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure play any role whatsoever after the building has been handed over to the securing client?
The construction and the maintenance of the hospitals are for the mandate of the Department of Health. And I believe that the national department has devolved those mandates to provinces where they build hospitals and ensure management. And I believe it is that department that can respond to that.
Yeah.
We deal with construction and management of facilities such as your police station, your magistrate court, your home affairs offices. Those are in a main the one that we deal with that are national mandate.
Yeah. Now, considering the experience that you'd have with other public infrastructure, do you think that we need to relook this one as well when it comes to health and say that maybe a Department of Public Works and Infrastructure that has the oversight capabilities, that possibly also has contacts within the infrastructure industry and the build industry should be the department that oversees the maintenance of hospitals, seeing that some of them are failing when it comes to the maintenance?
Well, the problem here, we need to examine that deeper. I wouldn't take that route without a deeper analysis. I say so because some of the infrastructure requirements in the hospitals are specialized. You will need that you have rooms that are specialized. You need equipment that are specialized and will be more knowledgeable to those who are in the health space. And that's why there's been this separation of mandate when it comes to hospitals. You will find that schools are built by the Department of Public Works in provinces because there is a common understanding on that. I must also, Adrian, add on this. As the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure, we are developing, in fact, we've finalized what we call the standardized buildings design. We want to have a standardized approach or designs for all of your police stations. The bigger police station must look the same, the middle one and the lower one. The schools, the same. So that will also save us cost because you will know of the design, the bill of quantities. But I'm not sure of hospitals, given the fact that you may need some specialized requirements.
All right. Thank you so much for that clarity. Sihle Zikalala is the Deputy Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure. We're going to take a quick ad break. When we come back at the top of the hour, we continue with Newsfeed AM.